The afternoon of November 12th, 1996 dawned clear and bright over Delhi, India. The sky was a perfect blue, unmarred by clouds, and the air was filled with the usual hustle and bustle of a city going about its daily business. At Indira Gandhi International Airport, air traffic buzzed, a routine day in the skies above. Planes took off and landed with precision, guided by the diligent efforts of air traffic control. It seemed like just another ordinary day in the world of aviation, but within hours, this ordinary day would become etched in aviation history for all the wrong reasons. What began as a day like any other would soon turn into a nightmare that no one could have foreseen. High above the village of Charkhi, Dadri, Haryana, two planes, Saudi Arabian Airlines Flight 763 and Kazakhstan Airlines Flight 1907, would collide in a horrifying mid-air collision. The serene sky was suddenly torn apart by the unimaginable horror of two massive aircraft colliding. This catastrophic event would claim the lives of all 349 passengers and crew aboard both aircraft, making it the deadliest mid-air collision in history. The wreckage rained down on the village below, leaving a scene of devastation and heartbreak. The tragedy sent shockwaves across the world, prompting investigations and raising serious questions about aviation safety protocols. News of the collision spread rapidly, and the world watched in horror as the details of the disaster emerged. How could two modern aircraft operating in the same airspace, under the guidance of air traffic control, meet such a devastating end? The questions were urgent and demanded answers. The aviation community was left grappling with the implications of such a catastrophic failure. The answers, as the investigations would reveal, lay in a complex web of human error, miscommunication, and systemic flaws. It became clear that a series of small mistakes and misunderstandings had combined to create a perfect storm of tragedy. The Charkhi-Dadri mid-air collision serves as a stark reminder of the unforgiving nature of aviation, where even the smallest of errors can have catastrophic consequences. It highlighted the delicate balance that must be maintained to ensure the safety of all who take to the skies. This tragedy forced the world to confront uncomfortable truths about the limits of technology and the critical importance of clear communication in ensuring aviation safety. It underscored the need for constant vigilance and improvement in safety protocols. It is a story that demands to be told, not only to honor the memory of those lost, but also to learn from the mistakes that led to such a devastating loss. The lives lost in this tragedy must not be forgotten, and their memory should serve as a catalyst for change. Through understanding the events that unfolded on that fateful day, we can strive to prevent such tragedies from happening again. By dissecting the errors and miscommunications, we can build a safer future for aviation. The skies must be a safe passage for all, and learning from the mistakes of the past is paramount to achieving that goal. The lessons learned from the Charkhi-Dadri collision continue to shape aviation safety standards, reminding us that vigilance and continuous improvement are essential. Saudi Arabian Airlines Flight 763, a Boeing 747, was on a routine flight from Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport to Dhahran, Saudi Arabia. The day was clear, and the weather conditions were favorable for a smooth journey. Carrying 312 souls, 289 passengers and a crew of 23, the aircraft was under the command of Captain Khalid Al-Shubaili, a veteran pilot with extensive experience. His co-pilot and the rest of the crew were equally seasoned, ensuring that the flight was in capable hands. Flight 763 was cleared to climb to 14,000 feet, following a standard departure route out of Delhi. The passengers settled in, some reading, others napping, as the plane ascended smoothly into the sky. Meanwhile, Kazakhstan Airlines Flight 1907, an Ilyushin Il-76 cargo plane, was approaching Delhi from Shymkent, Kazakhstan. This flight was also on a routine mission, transporting goods and passengers. On board were 37 people, including 10 crew members and 27 passengers. The cargo plane was loaded with various goods, adding to the complexity of the flight. The aircraft was piloted by Captain Gennady Cherepanov, who, like his counterpart on Flight 763, was a highly experienced aviator. His crew, too, was well trained and prepared for the journey ahead. Flight 1907 was cleared for a straight-in approach to Delhi. descending from 15,000 feet to 14,500 feet on a path that would intersect with Flight 763's ascent. The descent was routine, and the crew was focused on their instruments. On paper, the two flights were following their assigned altitudes and routes. The air traffic control had meticulously planned the flight paths to ensure safety and efficiency. Air traffic control, responsible for guiding both aircraft safely through the busy airspace, was in communication with both planes. The controllers were experienced and had handled numerous flights through this corridor. Yet, a series of miscommunications and errors would set in motion a chain of events that would prove fatal. Small mistakes began to compound, creating a situation that was rapidly spiraling out of control. The stage was set for disaster, with both flights unknowingly hurtling towards each other in the skies above Charkhi Dadri. The pilots, unaware of the impending danger, continued to follow their respective flight paths. What followed would be a horrifying testament to the unforgiving nature of aviation, where even the smallest of miscalculations can have tragic consequences. The collision would become one of the deadliest mid-air crashes in history, a stark reminder of the importance of precision and communication in the skies. At approximately 6:30 p.m. local time, Flight 763, having taken off from Delhi, was climbing through 10,000 feet. The evening sky was clear and the aircraft was on schedule, with passengers settling in for the journey ahead. The Boeing 747, a behemoth of the skies, was steadily gaining altitude following its designated flight path. This aircraft, known for its size and reliability, was a common sight in international airspace, trusted by millions of passengers worldwide. Simultaneously, Flight 1907, having descended to 15,000 feet, was preparing for its final approach into Delhi. The crew was busy with landing preparations, ensuring that all systems were functioning correctly and communicating with air traffic control. Air traffic control, tasked with monitoring the skies and ensuring safe separation between aircraft, was in contact with both flights. The controllers, trained to handle high-pressure situations, were diligently tracking the movements of all aircraft in their sector. At 6:36 p.m., the controller instructed Flight 1907 to maintain 15,000 feet and report reaching the visual reporting point for its final approach. This standard procedure was meant to ensure a safe and orderly landing sequence. However, due to language barriers and unclear communication, the crew of Flight 1907 mistakenly understood that they were cleared to descend to 14,500 feet. This critical misunderstanding set off a chain of events that would soon lead to disaster. This misinterpretation of instructions would prove to be a fatal error. In the high-stakes environment of aviation, even the smallest miscommunication can have catastrophic consequences. As Flight 1907 began its descent, it was unknowingly heading directly into the path of the climbing Flight 763. The two aircraft, each following their perceived correct instructions, were on a collision course. At 6:40 p.m., with both aircraft dangerously close, the air traffic controller noticed the rapidly diminishing distance between the two blips on his radar screen. The realization of the impending disaster sent a wave of panic through the control room. He immediately issued a warning to Flight 1907, instructing them to stop descent. The urgency in his voice was palpable as he hoped to avert the looming catastrophe. However, it was too late. The warning, though issued with the best of intentions, came just moments too late to make a difference. The warning came too late for the pilots of Flight 1907 to react. In the split seconds available, there was simply no time to alter their course or altitude. Within seconds, the two aircraft collided at an altitude of approximately 14,000 feet. The collision was sudden and violent, a catastrophic event that left no room for recovery. The impact, a horrifying meeting of metal, flesh and fuel, sent shockwaves through the air, instantly killing everyone on board both planes. The aftermath was a scene of devastation, a stark reminder of the fragility of human life and the importance of clear communication in aviation. The investigation into the Charkhi Dadri mid-air collision revealed a chilling series of miscommunications and errors that contributed to the disaster. At the heart of the tragedy lay the interaction between the air traffic controller and the crew of Kazakhstan Airlines Flight 1907. The air traffic controller, while experienced, was handling a significant workload at the time of the incident. Furthermore, language barriers played a crucial role in the miscommunication. While English is the standard language for aviation communication, the controller's instructions to Flight 1907 were delivered in a mix of English and Hindi, which was not the native language of the Kazakh crew. The investigation found that the crew of Flight 1907, likely due to the language barrier and the stress of the situation, misinterpreted the controller's instructions. They mistakenly believed they were cleared to descend to 14,500 feet, when, in fact, they were supposed to maintain 15,000 feet. This misinterpretation had catastrophic consequences, putting Flight 1907 directly in the path of the climbing Saudi Arabian Airlines Flight 763. While the controller did issue a last-minute warning to Flight 1907 to stop descent, it was too late. The combination of language barriers and misinterpretation of instructions and the controller's heavy workload created a perfect storm of human error that ultimately led to the collision. The tragedy highlighted the vital importance of clear and concise communication in aviation, where even the smallest misunderstanding can have devastating consequences for everyone involved.